Welcome back, YouTube viewers. I hope your holidays were as exciting as mine were. I had a really great time, and just wanted to give you guys a brief update of the 75-gallon tank I did about 3 weeks ago when I initially moved in. The tank has really come along, and I'm really happy with the way it's coming around. As you can see, there's still a little bit of algae in the tank. Oh, by the way, that's Epiplatys sexifasciatus. I put 9 of them in the tank, and you know, they get about 3 inches, so you know, they'll be I think a really nice addition. They got fantastic colors. Once they get larger, it'll be more evident, but as you can see, they're pretty they were just put in here about a week ago, so they're really not settled in, but they seem to like the tank, and I had to redirect the current to keep it from blowing across the surface, because technically they are surface dwellers and they do like hanging out there a lot. So I directed the current so that they would be more comfortable on the surface. I also added some water sprite, Citropalmus species, I believe is what it is, to make them feel even more comfortable. And as you see, the roots dangling in the water. This is a pretty big plant, by the way. Initially, when I put it in, it was really just a couple of leaves, but in a matter of a week or two, you know, it grew very quickly. And but it's a great nutrient sponge, and since I was having a lot of problems initially with this tank, the way I set it up, I wouldn't recommend to anybody, but it turned out pretty good, but it did require a lot of work. And as I said, I don't recommend doing this, but it was a necessity for me. There you see the microsorum species that I planted in the tank. It's doing really well. I did add another piece of it. This is a different type of Java fern, Pteropsis, I believe it's the forkleaf. And of course this is another type, the needleleaf Java fern. So there are 2 types in the tank, and I added this section because I have a really nice section, and I'll do a video on how I grow it. You wouldn't believe it, but I'll go over that. The Hygrophila pennatifida turned out really well. I mean, I'm really, what do you guys say, stoked about how it's growing in. As I said, it grows in wood. It grows just being stuck in between pieces of driftwood and a stone, as I did here, or it'll grow entirely in wood, as I did in this little piece in the back corner. But I'm going to do a video showing how I grow this plant, and again, it's really an easy plant to grow, and I don't know why a lot of you guys don't use it. I mean, I started off with 1 plant, so, and that was about a year ago or so, but you know, I have so much of it now, and I've sold a lot of it, and I still have a lot. I had enough to do this tank, and as I said, I'm going to do a video on it. That's all Hygrophila pennatifida. You notice it has a red vein in the leaf, and it's a beautiful plant. I noticed that James Finley uses it, as well as Amano uses a lot of this particular plant, but it's really nothing about it not to like. It's easy to grow, it's beautiful, and it's, you know, as I said, I've grown it in all types of water conditions, but again, I'm going to do a video on that plant and show you how I grew it. You see a lot of the smaller crypts. I believe this is Salata ciliata or something like that. I'll put the name on the screen, and it's coming along very well. None of those melted down. I was thinking they would, but really they didn't. All I did was, after I replanted them, and I did a few water changes, and you know, cleaned out a lot of the mulm in the tank, that it settled. I cleaned the leaves as best I could, and Then as the plant grew, it's got a lot of new leaves on it. They're lighter colored, like right there, than the regular plant itself, so plant leaves itself. So, you know, as you can see, some of them are green, dark green, and some have a burgundy cast to them. So it's really a nice plant, and it'll go great there in the foreground. It grows in clumps, so it'll fill in nicely there. The hairgrass has really taken off. I did a video on how to plant hairgrass, but as you can see, this is about 3 weeks growth, and you can see the roots in the soil here. It's really taken off, and actually the reason I'm doing this video today is I'm going to trim it. I've already trimmed it once, but I'm going to trim it again, and this time a little bit lower since it has filled in completely across the front of the tank. The Biloxia japonica really did well. Of course, I consider this an easy plant to grow. Most of you guys have it or have it in your tanks. Basically, all I did was I, of course, trimmed off the older leaves after the new ones started growing in, and now they're about 90% completely grown back in. So really, they were the easiest plant to adapt. As you can see, the ones, I mean, they're getting to the point now where I'm going to have to divide them because, as I said, that's a huge clump there, and really I want a few more of them around the front part of the tank, so I may divide that clump up in the next month. I'm not sure. The Deadeye Crypts did quite well. I mean, I've had those for a while, and you can see they're really growing in quite well. And again, they did not melt down. They you know, did very well. I did have to trim off a couple of the older leaves, and you know, and the other crypt here is coming in. It's kind of hard to see this plant, the definition of this plant, but and I'll put the name on the screen, but you know, I trimmed a lot of the older leaves off. It's still got a little algae on one of the leaves there. That's an older leaf, but basically with crypts, you know, you have to be very careful because the leaves are the manufacturers of food for the plant. So I noticed a lot of, in some of the videos, they drastically prune the plants. I only do that if I see that they're dying or they're covered with algae and new ones are growing back in, and then I'll remove that one. But I try to leave as many leaves on the plants initially, especially in this situation, since I've traumatized the plants a lot from, you know, temperature changes and everything. So I had to really maintain as many leaves as possible for as long as possible to reinvigorate the plant, and it seems to have worked. I mean, the crypts are, and as I said, I didn't have a lot of meltdown on them. I just removed the older leaves. The Amazon sword plant has really grown back in. Most of these leaves, with the exception, and you can see them, one or two, I think there's 3 on here, older leaves. The rest of them are brand new. As you can see, the leaves are translucent. I mean, it's really going to be a stunning plant. I wanted to grow a little, you can see a new one there. I wanted to grow a little bit taller. You know, I really wanted to be a canopy in the tank, especially to shade the crypts. I did plant Rotala macranda. Here you can see the new shoots there because I just think it's a beautiful plant. And I started with one stem, and I didn't think it was going to survive, but as you can see, the new growth on the top, and I mean, they've grown exponentially, and I want them to fill out that entire corner, and they will, where the intake stem of the eheim is. So they're doing quite well in that spot. The eelgrass, or Vallisneria nana, is growing in really well. Still, there are a lot of leaves with a little bit of BBA on them that I'm going to trim off. But again, I wanted the plant to shoot out at least 3 or 4 new leaves prior to me pruning those back, you know, further down than I did. So I kind of let the plant reestablish itself, and so it worked out pretty well. This is another Incadorus that I transplanted to the tank. As you can see, I bought it as Incadorus. It was a rosette sword, I believe is how they refer to it. I'm not sure about the scientific name of the plant, but it is growing in this particular spot quite well. I mean, it's shaded a little bit by the driftwood, but it does get full blast of the T5 bulbs that I'm using in this tank for certain parts of the day. And then this tank is up against a window, so fortunately I'm in the situation where I really don't, I got the lights set on timers that come on around 1 o'clock, so it gets a lot of sunlight in this tank. I also have Christmas moss, which is one of my favorite moss, and primarily because it's easy for me to grow. It grows very easily for me, and actually it grows very quickly. If you notice the lighter green tips on the ends of the stems there, that's new growth. So, and I've just pruned it today, so I wanted to grow a little more over those rocks. I'm not really happy about that one rock. It just seems like to me sticks out like a, I don't know, a headlight. So I've grown another piece there, started on the other side, hopefully to expedite that process. I also added a, let's see, where is it? Oh, well, you can barely see it, yeah, I can't really focus in on it because it's, but there it is. What looks like string, that is a moss rock I covered with Taiwan moss. So I'm going to see how it grows in that spot. I also added it a couple of other places to see if it'll attach to the driftwood. Let's see here. There's a little sprig there behind that leaf that's stuck in the wood. If you look there, there's some there. And I also planted it there by the rock and the driftwood. There's a small portion of it there. Now it is starting to grow, and I can see that it is attaching to the driftwood in the back. So hopefully that'll play out very well. I'd like to see it grow over the driftwood there, but I do like the character in the driftwood, so I'm going to keep a lot of it exposed, hopefully. You know, I do like it in this aquascape. So, and again, there's a brief overview of the hair grass. So guys, I just want to thank you for watching my video, and I'm going to try to pan out a little bit so you can get a full view of the tank. I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and again, I'm going to be loading up quite a few. As I said, I've been a little busy over the holidays, but you know, I've got a lot of stuff going on. One of the things is, of course, my so-called fish room is really not happening right now, primarily because of the floor in my house. One of the floor joists is broken. That's what you get when you get a 100-year-old house. So fortunately, before I added the shelves for the fish tanks, you know, I had a gentleman look at the floor because it was off level, and I'm glad he did tell me that the floor needed to be, one of the joists needed to be replaced before I added the racks for the fish tanks. I can't imagine what all that weight would do to the floor, but it wouldn't have been good. But at any rate, guys, this is a look at the tank, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. And again, I'll give you other updates, and look out for my next video. It's going to be about growing microsorm species, and also I'm going to give you in-depth way I grow Hygrophila pinnatifida. As I said, guys, this is a very underused plant, and I just think it's beautiful. And so I want to show you guys how to grow it, or how I grow it at any rate. So, but once again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to you guys' comments. Thank you.